And first up, a photographer who is not going to take pictures, going to tell stories. You might have remembered the best line I've heard in a spoken word piece yet. Fingers like a gibbon and a total disregard for Freudian psychology. Doyen Rainey.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stingpunk Night. I have a story, so be quiet. Okay. The story of Auryn the Mistwalker. Leaves rustled and nameless footfalls echoed in the evening mist. I know you're out there. The footsteps stopped. You might as well show yourself. Auryn wrapped thick fingers around the iron-handled axe in his belt, his aging fingers creaking. He held his breath and listened. The wind moved, and the shadows of leaves danced in the glow of a setting sun. Unmoving sunbeams glared through the dense fog. Auryn's voice quavered with more than age. What do you want with me? I'm nothing. I have nothing of value. He took a step, and dried leaves crackled beneath his goatskin boots. The silence spoke of cold and ending and the coming night, and nothing more. His nose sifted the breeze for traces of a soul long awaited, a presence he felt in his aging bones. A voice drifted through the fog, a sexless, inhuman whisper, a presence he felt, a ripple on the wind. Auryn. His gray eyes narrowed, creasing his weathered brow. Ah, yes, no other. He waited. Dried leaves, moistened with the evening dew, fell from the trees when the wind blew. I am a landless teller of old stories and an herb seller. Unless you want an herb or a story, you have no business with me. The silence stretched. The wind whistled softly. The sunlight glow in the mist faded, and the fog became an expanse of shadow. Twilight drew near, and the air turned colder. Auryn mumbled, his words buried in whiskers that had once been red as the setting sun. So you've come at last, and you're not here for my herbs. Take a story, then. He knelt to await the footsteps and pulled around him the yak-hide cloak that his wife once wore. His fingers curled into the cloak's long, coarse hair, and he tucked the axe beneath its folds. To the trees and the fog and the owner of those nameless footsteps, Auryn spoke. I offer the story of the winter cat. It is a sad story. Not long ago, in days much like these, there lived a cat with silken white fur and eyes blue as a glacier. She alone survived a litter of kittens. Her parents loved her more than the light of the sun, but realized that she was not like other cats, for she had a heart full of passion and was cruel in her way and guileful. She disdained her family, though they were not evil folk, and spurned the company of other cats. She went into the woods beyond Mount Hillard, not too far from our own village, and built for herself a house of wood and dust. Auryn breathed, long and slow, and heard nothing but his own heartbeat and the hint of the northern breeze. As cats are wont to do, the winter cat traveled the land on silent paws, her nose and ears twitching until she caught the sound of a mouse among the leaves. She crept nearer to it, ever so quietly, until the small mouse's heart felt death approaching like an iceberg in the fog. The mouse had its mortal moment, its last breath. The winter cat savored the quiet, the perfect calm after the gasp and the heartbeat cease. But a twig snapped somewhere to the right, and Auryn closed his eyes. But the cat was not sated. She craved the silence of vermin, then the silence of birds, then her fellow cats, and then all the earth. As she grew in strength and displeasure, there came a time when only a frozen, moonless night brought solace to the cat. And during those long, snowy months in a world of white seclusion, the cat felt pure and beautiful, dwelling silent and alone, her voice composed of the wind and the moon and the earth, her heart a house of unsung dirges and poems where the hero dies. Beneath the yak-hide cloak, Auryn shifted his weight, The axe handle was a comfort to his knotted fingers. Night had fallen. The breeze grew crisp, and he smelled another presence in the fog. Not a man, not quite. I know you, Katya. I know your story, you see. You cannot sneak up on a storyteller. I understand that I taint your silence. Show yourself, girl, and kill me if you must. A growl, a hiss, not far away, drifted through the wind and shadows. You annoy me, old man. We are different spirits, Katya. Your arts are pure, mine are foreign from the people, while yours are from the moon and for yourself alone. My stories must seem as trite to you as your dead mother's love. Emerging from the night forest, the hint of a slender figure appeared through the fog. You knew I would kill you tonight? You must settle with me. It is written in both our stories. I knew you would come eventually in the evening mist. It is the bridge between your world and mine. The breeze died for a moment, and the soft voice of Katya became clear. Her voice. And so you come here always to pick your herbs and wait for me. She stepped forward soundlessly. Through the veil of mist, Auryn made out her jagged white hair. She wore a sheath of rabbit pelts around her body. Her pale feet and hands lay naked to the chill. The gloom shrouded her face. But Auryn remembered those blue almond eyes, her fair, sharp features that had been so gentle in childhood when her hair was red like his own. She halted. You wear my mother's cloak. He nodded. It keeps me warm in her absence. It should have died with her. Auryn the Mistwalker swallowed and his voice shook. She tried to love you. She was afraid, but she did try up until her last strangled breath. Even then I kept trying, but you ran. Yes, I went home to the forest in the night, away from you, and away from her blood. So now I wear her cloak. You left me little else. The wind whistled in the trees. Dried leaves rustled and fell, and their sounds nearly overshadowed her whisper. It took her breath for you to know me, to tell my story rightly, to admit that I am not like my father. It took her death for your soul to hate mine as mine hates yours. No, daughter, a storyteller understands too much. He cannot hate. She shrieked. The fog parted, and Auryn caught a glimpse of her delicate features, those beautiful features, torn with the rage of the wronged, and her dark, lurid eyes. He sprang up, but as Age's knees gave way, he fell back, her fingers under her beard. At his throat, like claws, like talons of steel tearing ruts in his flesh. He fell back, twisted away, grabbed with one heavy hand and failed, but lashed out with the other, and the iron handle bucked as soft flesh gave way to the blade. A shrill cry blossomed in the mist, and silence fled before it. The sound rocked the trees and crashed over the hills. Auryn's throat cracked, but the howl echoed distantly as his daughter's body sank to the earth like a falling feather. His cry faded as his breath ran dry. The girl's body convulsed as she gasped once weakly before silence flooded the forest again. Stillness reigned for a long moment. The moon moved in the sky, and the north wind sighed. Auryn the Mistwalker rose with tears frozen in his whiskers and tugged her blood-stained sheath of rabbit pelts tight around his body beneath the yak-hide cloak.